I think now it's the time for Professor McDonald to take care about the next session.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Anati. That was a good discussion to come in on. Yeah, so my name is Dr. Aaron McDonald. I'm an assistant professor of management at Cal State University in San Marcos, so California, in the United States. So I have the pleasure of chairing this session on building the bridge, fostering a thriving startup ecosystem. So we have a nice collection of speakers here that will be addressing different aspects on it. And Carlos Jimenez, I believe you are first. Are you here? Let's see. Oh, yes, there you are. Oh, Carlos, that was a misprint on my thing. I apologize, Carlos. Please go ahead and take it away.
Give me just 1 second.
And just before you begin, Carlos, for the speakers, we have about 15 minutes each, and then we will have the discussion after everybody is done. Thank you.
I have a short presentation, presenter's view. Let me see if you can see what are you looking at?
We're on the presenter mode, but we see the extras.
So you can read the, okay.
Yep.
Let me, there.
Perfect.
Okay. How are you, everybody? I am Carlos Jimenez. I am in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it's beautiful outside, tropical weather. Thank you for having me. Dr. Harani, thank you. Always inviting me for this presentation. We have been working here in the island of Puerto Rico with the ecosystem for 25 years. Our company, which is called Yes, we do entrepreneurship as a mindset up to helping businesses grow. And I am the state coordinator for the Global Entrepreneurship Week in the island. We have over 200 organizations working together for building the entrepreneurial ecosystem. But today I am going to talk about a very future thing that I think it's going to happen. And as economic and ecosystem builders, we think we have to put this in mind. So I think that businesses in the future, and it will take about 20 to 25 years for this to happen, but businesses will become in a very singularity where they will transform the way that they're doing businesses as of today. So I think that us as entrepreneurial ecosystem builders, we have to adapt and see before it happens. So my presentation today is it's more about what we should be doing for the future, for the new business models that are going to or are happening as of today. So when we see the technologies that it's happening, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, sensors networks, blockchain, quantum computing, robotics, automation, nanotechnology, advanced materials, all these together in a company, it will make a business, wherever the size they are, as intelligent businesses. They're going to have a brain on their own. Businesses, systems will learn, adapt, and improve itself without the knowledge of a general manager. So companies will become more competitive because of all this technology when you put them all together. So this data integration, this automation, this power artificial intelligence, the self-optimization systems, and will get the businesses to become in a very singularity way. So once this happen, and it's happening as of today, my question really is, what's going to happen to the ecosystem that we're building if we are not prepared for this, that it's already underway? So the technological changes that are happening in the businesses, I don't think that the ecosystems are ready for it. We have not had the smart cities, the smart permitting, the smart buildings, and all this new era. It's going to put the ecosystem builders behind of what we are supposed to be doing, right? Of helping the entrepreneurials. I think they are in a very accelerated curve. So there are going to be new opportunities for entrepreneurs. Okay, entrepreneurs will access new streamlines of businesses that even ourselves, people who build ecosystems, entrepreneurial ecosystems, does not know these streamlines of businesses, right? Efficient market entry. I think that it's going to be easier for the businesses to enter. They will have best resource leveraging. They will not need the ecosystem builders. They will find those resources themselves in a click of a button, right? They will be more collaborative between the entrepreneurs. So I think that being entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial economic systems builders, I think that we need to be a dynamic and more innovative so we can help these new entrepreneurs that are becoming so fast. So what we need to do, okay, and knowing that the businesses are going to be very efficient, they will be customer centric, they will have sustainable resources from places that we don't even know. Competitive, the competitive advantage, and this is going to be. We have been in a conversation in our office. I think that the competitive advantage of businesses is going to diminish. They could the companies that starts these technologies first will have an advantage, but as soon as the other companies get all the same technologies into the systems, the advantage or the competitive edge will diminish. So businesses in the future will diminish the amount. So we need to start strategizing the entrepreneurial ecosystem builders on how to help to keep thriving the economy. And I think that us as ecosystem builders, knowing that the business singularity is coming, it's in the way, we need to embrace the future and build our ecosystem better with better tools and be more proactive. I think that we have been reactive or not active at all. So I think this will be my message. We need to prepare if we want to help other ecosystem builders and other entrepreneurs in our country.
Well, thank you, Carlos. Does anybody have a question for Carlos right now? Well, I have one, Carlos. This was very interesting. I'm a business strategy professor, so I've been thinking a lot about this, but I think of it usually more from like established competition as opposed to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, just given my area. And I completely hear you on the minimizing barriers to entry, reducing resources, essentially like taking some of the capabilities that only very large resource firms have and being able to give those to entrepreneurs that are much leaner. I wonder though, like as they get into past the launch phase and into established competition, I'm curious about like the effects of, is it going to be the large firms then that then are leveraging not just their unique capabilities, but their economies of scale and scope and supplier power and all of these type things? Have you have thoughts or experience with that?
Actually, Dr. McDonald, I know for a fact that we have been in many trade shows and different presentations from different big companies. They are already very ahead of the curve. And I will tell you about Louis Vuitton, you know, the bags. They are using RFID to fight counterfeit, right? If you go to Delta Airlines, they already have established in their 422 airports the RFID system with sensoring. If you go to United Parcel Service, which is UPS, they have convert their company from reading UPC code to sensoring all the packages, not only in their facility, but in their vehicles. And they are doing what I call IQ systems. They are very intelligent and they will tell you where to go and pick and when to deliver. So I think that companies are already driving through that future. And small companies, those are the big ones that you asked me. But small companies, they will require to install all this new technology in a very fast way. But today, they are very economic. As 5 years ago, before COVID, this technology that I'm talking about was not available on sizes that are available today. They are cheaper. They already crossed the, I think it's going to go mainstream. It's what I'm trying to say. All this technology inside small companies. And at the beginning, it will give them an advantage. But as soon as everybody else has them, I think the advantage will be who will have the most IQ in their company.
That makes sense. Yeah, that knowledge base. Oh, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Carlos.
Welcome.
We got just another minute. Are there any other questions? If not, we can go ahead to our next speaker. Okay, great. Well, thank you, Carlos. And again, we'll come back at the end with a broader group discussion.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. David Mata from Growth Will International is next. Are you here, David?
I think he is not in. You can take Kevin and till David is joined. If it's not joined, because he joining several multiple sessions from yesterday and day before yesterday.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just
I'm
a
sorry.
second.
I am the one next, and Kevin is after. I don't know.
Great.
Who you are?
Marco from
Oh
Finland.
my God! Oh my God! Oh yes, correct. Because I removed David and I put Marco. Yes, go ahead.
Well,
The floor
thank you, Marcos.
and the conference for you. I'm so sorry.
No stress. No stress.
Thank you, Marco. Please go ahead and please introduce yourself as well. I do not have your credentials. Thank you.
Okay, so here is Marco Paulo Brunhosa Cardoso from Finland. I was born in Angola. It was very nice to see this African mindset here. And I will share the screen now. And let's go from there. So, are you seeing something?
Yes, we have your, yep, you're great.
Okay. Okay, so here is the starting. And here it's a bit myself. I am in the every now and then I am a professor in the universities, both in Portugal and in Finland. And my contributions to the end, I am in the advisor on internationalization and funding through equity, finance, grants, and all the way that spectrum. So what I am going to share with you today is conquer the world by fine-tuning your techno-entrepreneurship in the Nordic markets. I'm looking forward to see some of the listeners here in Finland and to meet them personally. So what we will be talking about will be the thanking note, ontology of neoship, the corporate welfare of the Nordic countries, some self-producing barriers to access markets, capital, and competence, and a successful example of a techno-entrepreneur here in Finland. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Professor Annadi. You are absolutely fantastic with your organization skill. Well done. I had been in the conference through the observing it and listening through the YouTube, and great speakers. So you had and your team had been doing a great job. Thank you. Congratulations. And Fernando, that was the man, the inventor, the Portuguese inventor that introduced me to you. So thank you, all of you. I don't even dare to say thank you in Arabic to don't embarrass myself with the pronunciation. And here we are. So what is this thing of this neoship that everybody is using? I think that the basic concept is this willingness that each of us has got inside to make the his or hers affirmation in the world, like Friedrich Nietzsche was stating it. Then we can see this instantiated in several forms, like internship, and internship, and the state entrepreneurship, and of course the techno-entrepreneurship. So, and this is very beautiful because we are having the quite nice rainbow of possibilities. In 2009, I co-author a book that is Timners, addressing this thing that the entrepreneur, whatever, is not shining if he's not doing it in the team concept. If he's doing in a team concept, yes, he will succeed. On the meantime, as you know, the person that comes out with this idea of entrepreneur is Richard Cantillon, and then Adam Smith wrote on it in 1776 when he was publishing the Inquiry on the Wealth of Nations. And recently, we are having the great Mariana Mazzucato, that she is highlighting the interesting the possibilities that we use this type of concept for the state. Then in 2009, one of the things that I found it fabulous was that we can actually do much more than we are doing by using a simple concept that I call it clearinghouse model, which is the possibility that all variations of teamnership, they don't have problems with liquidity. And by using that model, then, and I had been observing during these 3 days of the conference, that is always some kind of reference to how do I get funding, how do we apply for funding, and all of these. But with this model, we can fix it once for all, and without the need of using these bitcoins and the other crypto religions, as I call it. And the way to do it, if you go to my book and you go to the book of the Nobel Prizes, Ben Armstrong and Jean Tirolon, Ben Armstrong, that I know personally, and he's a Nobel Prize from Finland. You understand the way to make the liquidity. So no person has got if he's attentive and is paying attention, doesn't have any reason to don't have liquidity. Then the Portuguese government, so I am a co-author of the book in 2009, and then in the 2019, the Portuguese government make legislation about it, and then updated last year. Here is Bruno Ferreira, outstanding Portuguese intelligent person, that he paid attention and he liked the model and had been working on it. And from my side, this produced so much money that to make it, we need a foundation for doing it, because a human being with so much money is not, it doesn't become healthy mentally. I mean, there is no meditation that fixes that. Okay, so the next thing, I am welcoming you for the corporate welfare of Nordic countries. So the persons understand that the Nordic countries, they have this personal welfare, but what is real strong here as well is the corporate welfare. And we pamper the companies that they are here. We are having, just for you to have an idea, if you are on the business of internationalization, and if you are not in the Nordic countries, maybe you should think twice and asking yourself if you really are on the internationalization business, because the Nordic countries, they have the GDP as large as Brazil. So it's in 2021, for example, it was even larger than Brazil, and around $2 trillion US dollars. And then in terms of population, we are talking about Brazil is a population of around 220 million, and Nordics, they are 28 million. So as you see, if you are talking about being international and you are not in the Nordic markets, well, there is some challenge in that reasoning. Then here we have a challenge that we make love quite much, but we don't produce many children. And I had my contribution, 3 children. But the point is that if we compare the Nordic countries and Brazil, they have median age, the Nordic countries is 42 and Brazil is 34. So we are having a challenge here, and the population is over 55 is 24%, and in Brazil is 11 just, and the youth, we just have 20%, and the Brazilians, they have 24. And this is a kind of as a reference for around the world. So it's a place to come because they welcome the parents and with families. And here we have the news from the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, which I advise you that you go to internet and check in YouTube all the speech that he does, because he is a genius. Not all the countries have got this possibility to have such an intelligent person running it. And they just institute to have award medals for the parents. So if you are a father here and you excel, then you will earn a medal. So more things about the Nordic countries. If you establish your company in the Nordic countries, you guarantee a very strong juridic framework. You have lower taxes, and I challenge any of you that is telling me that there is some place that you pay less taxes, and comparing it to the output that you have with the taxes. So here is the place to be. Then you have a strong brand. You get capital. You have a very strong ecosystem for equity, a very strong ecosystem for debt, a very strong ecosystem for grants, and human resources. You have it all. So just come here. And then you have a very strong ecosystem as well to get international from here. And there is no guarantee of unicorns, but we have some unicorns, but there is a strong guarantee of life balance. This is great to live here. And by the way, the Nordic countries are Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland, as you see in the screens, and Greenland. The Greenland is the big one. You see this market or a map, it makes this distortion. Okay, so then we are going to the 4 examples that I had been observing. They are more, but just let's concentrate in 4 that make the entrepreneurs to don't reach the level of teamnership. You see, so they mess up, and one of the ways they mess up is through the bias that they have individually as a team. So I share this later. If you want, then you just click on the presentation, and then you go to the place of origin. So one of the examples that I find of what I call toxinership is the group thinking. Is that when you have in the startup, in the company, this mindset that you have to agree. No, you don't have to agree. You have to think. Then if the thinking is different, you have to politely express it. Then the other one is the toxinership too, with this thing of losing. Everybody is very much afraid of losing. I don't know if it's because when we were in savannahs in Africa 300 years ago, we were so much afraid of lions that we were all the time with this loss aversion. But the point is that most of the people, they spend twice the time, they work twice hard to avoid loss than to gain something. So just have that in mind. Then the other thing is the confirmation bias. We, for some reason, we put in our head that something is on this way, and then we are looking for finding the data to confirm this thing that we have it wrong in our head. And then the other thing is this anchoring. There are quite good works on this, and I got on the 90s fascinated with the work of Professor Roberto Cialdini, on anchoring, and I strongly suggest, you see, so we are so much deceived with this anchoring stuff. So then what I suggest is that you start to go on epistemology, because if you master epistemology, you make brilliant business plan. And I'm sick and tired of seeing business plan that when you start to shake it, then nothing there, because it fails all the way to the epistemology basic criteria. So then, this is the welcoming example to Finland. You have here Saber Kodostanski, the person that last year was the 11th person that paid more taxes. So he came here as an entrepreneur, and he earns now more than 20 million euros a year. So this is a good example. You come here, you get along with the Finns, and you enjoy. The company of them is Ostaway, and they are based in Finland, and they are all over the place, and you are ready to see that what I just mentioned is not just small enticing things, but is the reality. You come here and you succeed. And I think now I finished. Thank you. You are welcome to Finland.
Hey, thank you, Marco. Thank you for sharing that. That was, I think, a great glimpse into the region. And as a father of a 4-year-old boy, we're huge proponents of Lego from Denmark. So big fans. So thank you. All right. Next, we have Kevin Coyne, excuse me, from Tech Ranch. And Kevin, as you get going, I used to live in Austin, so I'm quite curious to see how you talk about it now and what you're sharing. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, thank you for this opportunity to share. And thank you, Dr. McDonald. And Marco, it's great to see you, by the way, my colleague in Finland.
It's fantastic to see you again, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. We have to follow up. And to Dr. Al-Mubaraki, I'm sorry that I mispronounced your name, but I appreciate, as Marco, I'll echo what Marco said about it's amazing how much organization you guys have put together on this overall group, and I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I will some of the things that made Austin, but given the brief time, what we'll do is I want to talk a little bit about our concept called venture bridges that we've used for building Austin, as well as the larger ecosystem around it. As I said, I am from Texas. I'm from Austin, Texas, but I'm today in Monterrey, Mexico, and I'll tell you kind of the subset of the story about why that is as we speak. What is Tech Ranch? Just to give you a little bit of background, I'm a long-term technology entrepreneur. I worked for Steve Jobs straight out of college at a Steve Jobs startup called Next, and fell in love with technology and entrepreneurship about being a platform, or in startups being a platform for shaping the world. And so Tech Ranch is a reflection of that. Our whole purpose is to help global entrepreneurs access markets, and through accessing markets, solving underlying issues in healthcare and water, and everything from agricultural tech to advanced technology, for the idea of social impact. In fact, we were recognized in the top 3 social impact incubators not too long ago. And part of what I'm really proud about is to help coordinate this group of entrepreneurs around the world, starting out of Austin. You might ask, what's happening in Texas? 75% of Texas GDP is coming from what is being called the Texas Triangle. That is the cities of Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. In this, we have essentially the 8th largest economy in the world across Texas. And part of what's happened, given that I'm one of the, as we say in Austin, one of the original gangsters of this entrepreneurial ecosystem, I'm one of the guys who kind of built the ecosystem. Part of what's been happening is the opportunity to help connect other parts of the world. Obviously, we're seeing massive shift in trade winds about how partners are lining up. And part of our work is to use this moment of tying into this, what's happening in Texas. The specific thing that I want us to be talking about is how to use this as a way of driving impact, not just money being built and, not just, but, shaping the world as we want to see it, as many of the other speakers before me have been talking about. And so part of what I'll tell you about is what made Austin, Austin, because I see this as a reflection of the more general Texas area. Certainly we have our research organizations, universities that have been doing this. The city and state governments will tell you Texas is a good state for business, and there's a whole set of things there. One of the things, though, that I think is unique about our entrepreneurial community, and I'm a key part of, is building out the what might look like a peer-to-peer led network of entrepreneurs. I have kind of a formal idea about this, saying that we're using common space peer production for the purpose. That is, let me remove the concepts. We're using a community-based model for helping entrepreneurs connect into the community, and that becomes our safety net. There are times that I can be quite envious of the safety net that we find in our Nordic companies that we just heard from Marco. We had to come up with a different way of doing this, and the connectivity between the entrepreneurs is the key thing. This is what I have led. I could go into much more depth about, but I want to tell you a little bit different story this time, because in previous iterations, I've shared the story about that. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the different other possibilities. And what this has done is this has helped Austin go off and become the next biggest boomtown in the United States. We have activity that's only second to what's happening in Silicon Valley. The key difference, and the reason that I left the Steve Jobs startup and left the Bay Area to return back to my hometown of Austin, is Austin has a much more open, accepting, loving culture of the other. Like I'm convinced, sorry about that. I'm convinced that it was the culture of the musician hippies before, tech entrepreneurs like myself that gave us this culture where, I want to help you, you want to help me. And this is what's been the basis of this booming that's been happening. And so myself as an entrepreneur in Austin, starting my first company in 94, my first customer was in Guadalajara, Mexico. There's a whole story I'd like to talk about that. And as I sit in Monterrey, Mexico right now, and I talk about bridges, the whole idea, the story I want to tell you is the software that we built for the bank that back in that time, there was what's called a Casa de Bolsa, a security trading firm that bought a bank that needed my 24-year-old software at the time. They took a big risk on a 24-year-old that was getting started at the beginning of my career with this advanced piece of technology. And 30 years later, as I've been reflecting on it, actually about 15 years later, I started realizing this is one of the things that we can use to change the world. You've certainly heard the science fiction writer William Gibson say, the future's already here, it's just not widely distributed yet. This is something that's being used in a lot of different speeches out there. But my corollary to that idea, that's the driving vision behind TechRanch, is all the world's problems have already been solved. It's just a matter of connecting the entrepreneur with the solution to the market with the problem. It's why I think these forums, these international forums where we're talking together and we're sharing insight, and as importantly, we're making sure that we give a pathway for our early stage innovative firms and our early stage entrepreneurial, entrepreneurs to gain access to these other markets. This is, I think, the most important process that we can do, because all these problems around the world. When, I've been in 22 different countries in the last 8 years, the thing that I've noticed is a lot of the problems have already been solved, but since these earlier stage firms don't necessarily have the heft to be able to access a foreign market, they don't go there. And the example that I gave earlier about myself, and myself as having this advanced piece of database technology that can be used in a finance kind of way, that technology saved that bank in the peso crisis that happened in Mexico in 1994. If they hadn't had that new system, when the peso crashed, the bank probably wouldn't have existed after that. It was one of the few banks that was able to get through that crisis at the time. And I think that this idea is what reverberates in my mind about how we can use venture bridges to have these earlier stage firms be able to gain access to these markets. Part of the thing that makes that possible in the moment that we're in right now is we have all these different disruptions and opportunities. Everything from here in northern Mexico, where a lot of GM cars and other a lot of other manufacturings happen. There's a big concern about the big shift. Obviously, we see AI is going to disrupt. There's a lot of difficulties that are happening in the China-United States relationship, and we continue, I think, to hear echoes of this around the world. There's been Biden policies to engage with that are taking advantage of, like the CHIPS Act. And then there's some interesting, unique trading opportunities that are happening. And even though this is a Texas flag and a Mexican flag, we've been helping colleagues from Japan, colleagues from the Baltics, other parts of Central Europe, gain access to taking their technologies into the NAFTA zone, the USMCA, the trade agreement zone, and then gaining access to some of the capability that is represented by these two flags so that they can participate in the trade in this part of the world and take advantage of the Texas Triangle. So the idea here is we should be responding to this disruption with innovation. This is the whole concept. How is it that we find the entrepreneurs that have the solutions to our localized problem? We say it this way: let's solve local problems with global insight. And for this crowd, I do not have to say this. You guys already know that intervention can happen anywhere. In fact, we see this happening. It's no longer just Silicon Valley. But the key thing here is when we make a distinction between invention and innovation. Innovation, what I mean by that is the technology has to be socialized into multiple places. Otherwise, an invention will stay on a lab bench. If it doesn't become socialized, it never becomes innovation. Innovation that can really respond to the disruptions that are happening, to really take care of new problems and solve them. That's why our whole work, the work that brought me to Mexico for the conference that I'm at today, is about building venture bridges. And I have a whole other presentation about this set of concepts in itself. But the fundamental idea is we're not trying to, as TechRanch, we're not trying to build McDonald's everywhere. The American mentality of, franchising, they're not trying to do that. What we want to do is create these firm bases on both sides. Your organization, your incubation groups tied to TechRanch, tied to these other groups, and kind of creating this whole matrix of gaining access to markets for these early stage firms. This is the key concept that actualizes the corollary that I mentioned earlier about gaining access to markets for these earlier stage firms, the more innovative firms, the firms that have the answers to the problem sets that each one of our countries or each one of our local areas is facing. So with that, the main thing about it is I want to advocate hard for, there's a whole set of concepts here. We call it, we act almost like a talent agency. You got to discover talent, to develop talent, then to connect that talent to opportunity and help it scale. A lot of times when I interact with different people, different stakeholders, a lot of times they say, well, why don't you just get investors to do this? Part of what we as the community, the global community need to do is to figure out how to support these type of stages. Now, typically in our work, the key thing is to have a sponsor of these stages so we can discover the different areas and surface the solutions to the problem that might be happening on the other side of the world. Then we can actually, connect in. And this is where it takes a whole set of partnerships to make this possible so that we can scale solutions where they're needed. The great thing about this is I can talk about all sorts of different examples that have happened across the world. Some of my favorite, as an example, is taking on a disease called leishmaniasis that happened with a doctor that was focused on this in Ethiopia, connecting through doctors that were based out of Houston, Texas, leveraging technology that was based out of Adelaide, Australia. And it was through this network that we were able to solve problems. In the example here, we were able to work with this one company based out of Austria to gain access to taking their technology, which is about cold storage, and applying it in a whole new ways. They were concerned initially about groceries on your doorstep for delivery. We were actually able to help them discover a new market on delivering laboratory supplies, much smaller package, much higher importance of what it represents, because getting those lab samples back to the right people when it takes time because you have to ship it, ship it from point A to point B. This Austrian technology was really interesting to see where we could take that. That was a whole earful. I hope I didn't talk too fast. But I want to say that I'm excited about these type of networks, this type of program where we're globally coming together and exploring how we can find these solutions together. It's all, the hero of the story is not us. It's these entrepreneurs that are taking these risks. The ones that are taking the bold risk, especially the ones that are taking the bold risk of solving intractable issues. And the thing that I just want us to recognize as the global leaders that we are is that when we give access to these global entrepreneurs, to these other markets, and help them discover the market that they might not be able to see, we can save lives, lower costs, do all sorts of really exciting things. With that, let me just say, let's go change the world for the better together. Thank you. If you have any questions for me at any point, my email is kevin@techranchaustin.com. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your work you continue to do. So we do have some time left for questions and discussion, and I see Marco already has a question, but yes, please, after Marco, anybody who'd like to ask a question, please do. Go ahead, Marco.
Kevin, as always, I am a great fan of you, and I am fascinating to listen to you. Please send me an email. So then next week we are having a conversation, because I was having today a lunch with the city, and I think we have the stars aligned to have your concept here. So please send me an email so that we organize.
Yes, I will do. It's good to, it'll be great to reconnect.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions for Carlos or Marco or Kevin? Okay, I have a question for kind of the group. But listening to all of this, I'm seeing some threads on the different entrepreneurial ecosystem efforts, the role technology is playing on this, but also our distinct cultures. And in a lot of ways, technology is global. Yet we know our cultural difference, institutional differences exist around the world differently. And so I'm curious, especially with the onset of AI, how powerful it is, how accessible it is, at least for now. How are you seeing this implemented, I guess, in both like positive, good ways, and also maybe some hindrances or challenges in your respective regions? I know in higher ed, in universities, we see a lot of positives. We also see some negatives, and we're trying to wrap our head around all this too. So very curious to hear your own perspectives on this.
I mean, I can attempt to answer from my standpoint. That first experience in Mexico, being a Texas entrepreneur, 24 years old in Mexico, and really going through, culture shock and all the difficult stuff, taught me, it was a rigorous teacher, but it taught me firsthand to discover the culture. In fact, what informed me when I came back to Austin, and I fell in love with the culture that I was living in that I couldn't see before that. And it's continued to help me, go from place to place and place. I do think, by the way, culture is the number one, and awareness of culture, I think, is one of the most important things we can do for our entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs, it seems, when they're stepping across a country boundary, forget that they have to go back through product market fit. They just forget that, oh, wait, by definition, I'm entering into a new market, and so I have to rediscover the market. You asked about AI, and I want to make sure I include that in my answer. But the fundamental thing, even before we look at tools, because powerful tools in hands that are blind create messy situations. It could have been that the situation that happened when I was that early entrepreneur, in the bank in Mexico, the two companies were fighting with each other because one of them had acquired the other one, and the one that was acquired was pretty upset about that. And it wasn't just that I was a Texan it wasn't just the problem was the Texan in Mexico. It was the warring organizations that were making the Texans' job of tying the system together difficult. So I guess my main thing about it is that I think as part of global entrepreneurship, different than just we really do need to start cultivating a much deeper, deeper sense of culture. AI can absolutely destroy this, because if you use AI in a certain way, I mean, everyone has probably played with ChatGPT, and you can see that you can say, hey, present this to me in this one or author style. And then you get this like interesting interaction, but then you can totally miss all of the other wonderful elements. I've been blessed with the idea of in the last 8 years alone, of 22 different countries, learning something different, everything. I think we may need to make sure that we increase the sensitivity of our entrepreneurs to this global perspective. I know in the United States, apologize, I don't think we're doing it anywhere near enough, because my colleagues are smiling. Yeah, I know, I'm happy to say that I think I got a little bit of it. I know that I still need to work on it myself.
Oh, great, Kevin. Thank you. Carlos, did you have something to add to that?
Well, I would like to add, I teach entrepreneurship and innovation at the University of Puerto Rico, and I do ask my students to use this intelligence, artificial intelligence. I call it synthetic intelligence, as a tool, as they use a calculator, and it gives us a lot of speed, right? It gives the students better way to communicate their idea, interact with this intelligence on a daily basis. If you see what MIT is doing, they have announced a portal that you can put in the information, and it will get you all the PAM, TAM, SAM, SUM in a very unique way and very fast, and it will month to do that if you do it on yourself and go and do the research that
it takes a lot of time, right? So it's taking that time out of the equation. You still have to verify the information. It has happened a lot of mistakes, but it will get better. I think the artificial intelligence is going to get better. At the end of the day, I think we're going to have our iPhones with 100 IQ, or you can rent 500 IQ, or you can rent 1000 IQ. I think that's what it's going to be a difference in the future. Who's going to be or have the best IQ in their iPhone or phone? So I think that we need to integrate this artificial intelligence, because it will separate, or it will have an impact on those who doesn't have this artificial intelligence working for them.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Can I
Marco,
come in?
Jeff, please. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Okay, so I am a very standard Homo sapiens, and my idea is very much like this. We screwed up with thermodynamics, and the show is over, because species are here, they come, they go, they come, they go, and we as a species, we just have this trick that we think that we have to go faster, to get extinct faster. And the things what we are doing now is that we are running out of energy, and the ways to organize. And the best idea that we could get is to spend even more energy. And one of the things that we do to spend more energy is that everything related with blockchain. So we have the systems doing properly the things that they don't spend so much energy, but we do it that. And then the other thing that we decide that is very good to spend energy is this artificial intelligence. Great, fantastic. So everything, and then wars, because wars, they have as well this energy consumption. And the point is that for some reason, we forgot to pay respect to Ludwig Boltzmann. The guy commit suicide in 1906 because nobody was understanding what entropy was about. And the thing is very clear. As more we go in the era of time, the level of entropy goes up, meaning the chaos go up. And we should be paying attention and see that, okay, this system, this financial system that we self-elude ourselves, that has got value, it's great, it's fantastic, but is over. It doesn't fit us anymore. If everybody would pay the debts that have got today in the system, we wouldn't have enough money for it, you see. So, and then we have to go for this type of other models that we have to cooperate and to be in cooperation with each other and with mechanisms with each other to clearing our relation, because in the end of the day, we are the same biological entities. Each of these persons that they are here with us are my brothers and sisters. The only thing that makes us different is some guy some years ago decide that, well, we are able to have slaves for working for ourselves if we create some kind of difference. And one of the differences is culture, and then it comes this religion and all of this blah, blah, blah. But the point is that if we get united together, we are just pure brothers and sisters, that we should love each other and cooperate much more and forget about this money stuff, that it's okay to go to the supermarket and all of this. But in the end of the day, we are having here a serious problem that is called energy. So when we are going for this EV, for example, we don't have possibility of taking more materials from the cluster of the Earth by the year 2041. We are at this moment taking oil from the North Sea by subsidizing with wind power. Because if we use the energy that we are taking, it's negative. So we have to clear down, and that's why I think this type of events are important for us to share this thing. And I am very pleased to talk with any of you that wants later on. And I'm sorry to take this time, but I just feel that I have to say this to my brothers and sisters around the world.
But also, Marco, I think that we already, the entrepreneurs has already resolved the power and the electricity and the consumption of energy. In 100 years, we will have not use one quart of oil in the future. We already have established that solar and other energy sources will be used in the future. So yes, it will be a transition, but the entrepreneurs are doing the things that they have to do and transform the future in the energy and other sectors. I think that we should not be afraid of the future. I think that the entropy will be needed. We talk everybody on a daily basis. This is what we're doing right now. But with the help of technology, I am in Puerto Rico. Professor Marco is in Finland. Kevin is in Mexico. So I think this will set up the future.
Let's have a conversation next week, my friend.
Sounds
Yes.
great.
I love it. Hey, well, thank you to our participants here, Kevin, Marco, Carlos. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed each of your talks and the conversations afterwards. So thank you for joining.